All right, we are live. Let me get this tweeted out for everybody so everybody can join in here. 1 second. Do 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 do. There we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. Greetings, fellow traders. So before we get started, just want to have you read over this real quick, or at your convenience here. That everything we're going to talk about today is for educational purposes only, and not investment advice. Okay, so just take a moment to read through this. If you're watching the recording, you can also pause it and read through it. Okay, so let's take a look and see where we're at. Awesome. Yeah, well, I hope everybody had a great day today. So today was a very choppy day. SPX ended up down 4 points. Futures are up 6 points right now. The entire range of the day, which we'll get to in a minute, was only 9.9. That was one of the lowest ranges in a very long time. The monthly chart here is turning into a hammer, right? So that is interesting, right? The weekly chart, inside week so far, right? 1 day so far in the week. The daily chart, not quite an inside day, tagged, Friday's low. I wouldn't be surprised if it was an inside day, but 2963.07, right? And we hit 2962.94. Okay, so we missed that by 13 cents or so for an inside day. But it is a Harami, right? Harami Doji. And so it's still holding the downward trend line. So that in itself is interesting, right? It's continuing to hold this level. But after all this madness, right, we finally had a calm day. So today was Columbus Day in the U.S. It's also Canadian Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian friends. Hope you guys enjoyed your day. If you guys spent it watching the stock market, it was about as fun as trading it live here. So it was a not very exciting day today. Pretty narrow range today. In fact, one of the narrowest ranges I think in 2 years. But certainly one of the narrowest ranges for sure. So, but again, what are we doing? We're gearing up and we're prepping for earnings season. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty pumped about earnings season coming along. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Tomorrow we're going to get the financials, right? A lot of the big financial companies, right? We're going to get Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. We're also going to get UNH, United Healthcare, big Dow stock, right? Johnson Johnson, another Dow stock, right? So we're going to have some big earnings coming tomorrow. So it should be pretty fun, to get things kicked off. So that'll be good. And what better time to talk about 15 orbs than during earnings season? So compressed day so far, right? Let's take a look at the price action, though. I mean, you can see here off of the main chart right here, stochastic is kind of working its way up. We're above the support zone right now. Gap below, right? So we do have a 3-day unfilled gap reversal so far. So if we did push down in this level, we could consider a potential short with a stop at today's high if it got weak tomorrow. Okay. Otherwise, we may see ourselves kind of working our way back up to the top of the channel. Okay, here's the 15-minute chart today. Not very exciting stuff, right? Here's the 15-minute orb. Basically, there's one potential trade off of that, 29.68, all the 29.72, so maybe a 4-point quick move. And that was basically defined like the high of the day off of that, and then very, very choppy for the rest of the day. Let's take a look at the price action on the 5-minute chart. Once again, these are levels that we provide to our subscribers before every market open. So we are armed with good levels to work with here. Okay. So you can see not many of the levels were tested today. In fact, it was pretty complex, just the way the price moved today. So, we had a little bit of a move down, right? We kind of opened flattish, right? A little bit down, right? Then kind of worked our way up a little bit and then just kind of worked around on the flattish side today. So hence we ended up with a doji today on the daily. So kind of going through this price action was really painstaking today. But sometimes we know, like, what are the clues? What are some of the clues that we can use to know, right, that things are choppy, right? Well, there's a couple things we do. One of the tools that we use is actually, I could just kind of pull it up real quick, is the Williams alligator, right? This one's great for just kind of letting you know if you're going to be choppy or not, right? So, hold on 1 second. I need to edit this right here. For some reason, it's trying to fit all the studies. Give me 1 second. Let me remove that. Okay, there we go. All right, so you can see Williams alligator kind of push down real quick here, and then we kind of just chopped around all day. So once the Williams alligator lines get really compressed like this, right, it's an indication, right, that we might have some chop, right? And so we had one little possible move to the downside right here where everything kind of opened up a little bit, but look what happened. We ran into buying pressure right here. Look, we had a lower shadow here, lower shadow here, lower shadow here, and so if we can't close below that level right there, it's unfortunate because the distance between here and here, right, is only about a point, maybe a point and a half, right? But by not being able to push or close below this level here, basically the 2965 level, this breakdown, although it was nice, this breakdown was not going to fill here. This is something I tweeted out in the private group. I said, it's looking bearish right now. I got my eye on it, right? And then look at this buying pressure here, 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 right? And it came right into it right there, okay? And so obviously the volume at the beginning of the day is higher, so there's a lot more buying pressure there versus here. So if this had a little bit more power and closed below here, there was a higher probability that we would test these levels down here, right? And maybe be able to scalp off a 1-point move because today was expiration day on SPX. So, yeah, so it was very, very interesting. So the Williams alligator is one thing that can help you, right? When you kind of see the Williams alligator just all compressed like this, nothing's happening. When you see it going like this, we are trending, right? When it goes like this, we are not trending. So that's one clue, right? What's another clue that we could use to look for chop? Obviously the price action itself, but this is something I tweeted out today too. So this is the VOL SPD, right? And this is, I like to use this. You could also use the VOLD. But the VOL SPD is your up volume minus your down volume. Okay, it's the difference in basically your flow of, is money flowing into, right, or out of, right, or is money flowing into rising stocks or into declining stocks, basically. So, or is the down volume, right? Is the volume in the down moves more? So it could be shorting, it could be, exiting too, as long as the volume's there, right? So when it's going down, right, obviously, there's essentially money coming out of the market, right? If it's going up, right, there's essentially money going into the market, right? And this is something that you see often. Usually you see at least at some point like a big move on this VOL SPD, right? So if we go here, if we go 30 days back, right, and you go to like almost every single day, there weren't too many major chop days, right? Even this was chop, but at least it had some movement, right? Here, maybe, what day was this? This was September 17th. Okay, so a really, really choppy day on September 17th. Just a choppy Tuesday, right? And, gearing up for, possible, I can't remember, it was the 19th, did Fed speak that day? Not sure, this was probably Fed day, right? Something happened right here on the 20th. So pretty nasty day right there. No, that was the September 20th, that was the big Friday down, right? Where President was tweeting about China and all that stuff. So that was a pretty nasty day that day, right? So anyway, this shows you, where if there's flow, right? If there's flow going into the market, right? If there's anything happening, right? This tends to be bullish flow if it's going up, tends to be bearish flow if it's going down. And look at today, just nothing. Just nothing. So just by looking at this, you can see like within the first 10 minutes, or the first 45 minutes of the day, there was quite a slope to a lot of these, right? It shows that there's at least something going on. This day was a little bit choppier. Then it got a little bit of action, right, on the 7th. Right, but here, nothing. Very, very boring day. So when you see something like this, right, this is a good thing to have on your internals list. That's why I have it up here. When you see something like this, happening, right, don't overtrade, right? Don't try to force things that aren't there, right? That's just one of the clues that we can use, right? So Williams alligator and using the vol SPD, these are some great things, right, too. And then just using intuition too. It's like, okay, do we have any earnings today? No. Are all the earnings coming out tomorrow? Yes. Right? So maybe we're waiting for that. Maybe we're waiting for that to happen, right? So just a couple tools that, just something to think about, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the 15 orbs today. So today being what it was, right, what can we expect out of the 15 orbs, right? So let's take a look. So there's a couple things that we want to talk about. The main thing I want to talk about today is just gauging the 15 orb, right? And so, and gauging the size of it, right? So, there's a couple tools that we can do to do that, right? So, some big movers today, there weren't many, right? So CRWD, this is our 15 orb list that we tweet out to subscribers each morning. I try to provide as much as I can free in the morning. I just send this exclusively to our group, but some stuff I do tweet out in the morning, if it looks interesting, right? So CRWD was a very interesting one today, right? So this is one that had been in a continual downtrend, right? So the trend had been mostly down, right? Macro trend down. It gave you an inside day right here, and then it came down off of that. This was also a weak inside day, and then worked its way down. So off of the macro downward trend line, right? So very, very important stuff here. Okay, and how did we get this trend line? Well, it just kind of knocked off of those two. This is very, very important stuff, right? So it came back to the trend line and came back down. It's amazing how these trend lines work, right? So then it got downgraded again today, right? So it continued to work its way down. And one of the things we look at is, where does it gap down to? Right? And if it doesn't gap below a major level, the chances of a gap and go are very rare. So we look for reversals, right? So let's take a look and see if it was able to reverse today, right? Well, Okay, well, it did have a nice 15 orb right here. How come this didn't work? How come this didn't work? Well, we had a lot of issues, right? So it got a lot of movement pre-market, okay? If it came down like here, and we had our 15 orb up here, then we'd have a higher chance of reversal, right? If we came down here and all the price action was down here, we had this. But look at this, we had pressure over here. We had selling pressure in these areas. So trying to go long into all this mess, this pre-market box, like we like to call it, is very, very challenging, okay? So what did it do? It defined the 15 orb, right? So let's take a look. Let's pull up the 15 orb. Let's pull up the orbit here. Okay, let's make it easy. Okay, so you can see right here, this is a 15 orb level, right? And then once it closed below here, see, did this close above here at all? No, not really. Can we be patient, wait a little bit for it? Yeah, it did. It closed bearishly, and it had increased volume on this candle too, right? So this is bearish, right? So it's continuing to work its way down. Are we worried here on an inside bar, a bearish inside bar? No. It has a chance of, continuing to work to the downside if it breaks down, and it did, right? So that gave a nice move there from 55.23 to 54.23, so a nice 1 point move down there. And then what did it do? It came back and tested the 15 orb level, another inside bar, hanging man, right? Northern Doji, then tail fell to the downside, and that worked down even farther, right? 54.90, 53, right? It's almost a 2 point move there. So this really is also like ultimately tradable twice on a retest of the 15 orb level. So you can see how important those levels are. So today we just want to talk about gauging size, right? So when the 15 orb is really big, right, sometimes it's hard to gauge the move, right? And so how do we evaluate whether it's big or not, right? Well, let's take a look at Xilinx right here. Xilinx is upgraded. All right, Xilinx is tough to trade, right? But it came up, and what did it do? Did it gap over any important levels? Did it gap over here? Did it even gap into the gap? Not really, right? Gapped into some major resistance. So do we have a chance of a reversal on this? Yes. So let's go to the 15 orb. Is the 15 orb too big? That's one question we always look at when we look at our opening candles. Are they too big? Right? Because if they're too big, the majority of the move is in the candle. Well, what's one quick way you could do that? Right? Just measure the candle itself. It's 1.89. Measure it to another day. 1.9. Well, it's not really that much bigger. What about this one? 2. It's actually less than one the other day, right? Here's one, 73 cents, right? So you kind of get the idea here, right, on the average of these, right? Sometimes they can be too big, but if it's generally within your ATR, which is your average true range, within a multiple of it, a reasonable multiple of it, typically you're okay, okay? So here we have a high probability of reversal, and did it reverse? It sure did. And do we have a confirmation bar here? Yeah. So 96 and 68 cents. And so a nice 1 point move to the downside on Xilinx. Okay, this is very tough to trade with options, but it's just an example, right? We take a look at Planet Fitness. Okay, Planet Fitness, right, had a pretty big bar. Okay, it had a bearish bar right here. Okay, let's take a look at where we gapped to. Okay, so we gapped up, but we were over kind of a minor pivot level right here, so we had an opportunity to continue up. Right, as long as we could get through these levels right here. So we finally had an inside 15 for a pop to the upside, right? But sometimes you can see just kind of the range of these bars, right, are a little bit big. You can see Planet Fitness was pretty big right here, right? The range of this bar was 81 cents. The range of this one was 43. It was double. It was twice the amount right there. Okay, so sometimes you just have to get a feel and kind of a gauge for the stock. You can kind of tell if that opening 15 orb is too big, right? So that's a very, very key thing to look at. What if it's small? Well, sometimes small is okay, right, as long as it's not a choppy day. Right, now Nike had an upgrade today. Okay, Nike is attacking all-time highs, so that's a little bit different, right? So Nike, this is kind of a key level right here. That's 94.84. Okay, right? Just have to be prepared for have to see how the stock moves, right? So here, this is kind of a reasonable range right here, right? So this is only like 57 cents, right? The closing bar the other day was 57 cents, so it's nice and average right here on an upgrade. So here's your pre-market levels right here. As long as it can kind of push above those levels, it has a chance for getting a little bit higher. Okay. You can see it ran into some selling pressure right here, and here, based on those pre-market levels. And once it got through there, right, then you had that nice little move up right there. I mean, Nike's not going to be a huge mover, right? But at least, you can scalp a little bit and make a little bit off of it. It's kind of the idea, okay? So basically, CRWD, data dog, this one, a little bit wild, right? So it was initiated finally today, right? So it gave a 15 orb right here, inside bar, down for a quick move. Right, about 35-ish to about 34-ish, right? It came back, didn't retest the 15 orb. So what do we do there? We wait, right? We stay away from it. Were the bears in control up here when it got to the top of the 15 orb? The answer is yes, they were, right? Clearly they were, right? Because you had a topping tail right here. Your topping tail, look, you have pre-market levels right here. Upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow. Okay, then it gives this big bar that engulfed basically the entire range of the opening pre-market bar, right? Or the orb, the 15 orb. right? And then we had a doji right here, and then finally it started to work its way down. So $35 all the way into $32 just based on the 15 orb range right there. So, and this range was reasonable, right? It was only 69 cents, right? So it wasn't a huge bar. I mean, look at this the other day, 77 cents, right? Here, 33 cents. So I mean, it's pretty reasonable. It wasn't out of the ordinary, right? Sometimes we see really big ones that are out of the ordinary. And it's just too much. Right? Sometimes it's just too much. So anyway, hopefully you guys find that helpful, right? So that's using these 15 orb. It's gauging the ranges, right? Nice compact range. Couldn't get over the pre-market levels. Show the upper shadows at the upper 15 orb, and once it kind of starts to break below there, right? You have 2 chances at this one short today. 2 chances. So nice one right here. Even here. Right, little upper shadow. Once it kind of pushed below these levels, right, even here, once it started to clear all those levels, if you thought there was going to be buying pressure here, and buying pressure here, once it got below here, right, even from down here, 34 down to 30, 32, so over a 1-point move to the downside there. So a couple different methods and all that stuff. So anyway, hope you guys found that helpful. So that's gauging size with using the 15 orb. So at this point, if anybody's any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those into the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can. We'll try to wrap up by 10:30 so we can all get a good night's sleep and have an awesome trading day tomorrow. Today would have been a good day to just get a lot of sleep anyway, just based on the way the market was, and rest up for tomorrow anyway. So there we go. So good stuff. Hey guys. All right. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving and awesome. I hope everybody had a great day today. Let's go. Shirley emailed a few stocks in, so I'm going to start with that. So we'll see. We've got AAN. Let's take a look. So AAN earnings are coming up 10/24. So you have 10 days until earnings, which is typically the earnings run time. This is one we looked at a while ago. Okay, we do have errands here. We've got a pitchfork that we've been watching for a while. We came below the pitchfork a little bit, gave you kind of like a double bottom right there, and it seems to be working its way back up on increasing volume. So just watch, we're kind of over these levels, these prior levels right here. See if it can work its way up to maybe that 73 level, but watch out for earnings. But that might give you a little earnings run right there. PPL. PPL Corp. So let's take a look and see what we've got going on here. Okay, so obviously we have some more time here. Let me just increase the size of this right here. So we can see we've got a huge downward trend on this thing. Okay, all the way from this 42. Right, we've got this macro kind of downtrend line right here. If you go here, you have this. Okay, that kind of gives this, and then we had this. Okay. Ultimately, it worked its down through there. Then we had this. Okay, then you can see the channel right there. Okay, so then we have this. So yes, so this is looking pretty good. So we finally closed above this minor pivot right here off of this downtrend line right here, and we were beginning to work our way up, which is nice. Only issue again is you have earnings coming up at the end of the month, so see if you can get a little run off of that. But again, it's working on being bullish until proven otherwise, but make sure it holds that 32 level. Okay, Cody. Again, big macro downtrend line. I mean, even if you started like here. Okay, so just be careful with that, Shirley. I do see an inverted head and shoulders kind of working right here, so that's good. But in the meantime, just be careful, right? We're starting to close above these levels, but it rejected those levels, so be careful with that, Shirley. That's a little bit risky. RETA. Rita Pharmaceutical, big breakout move today. Came back in though, so watch the top. There's a lot of selling pressure up here, so be careful with that one as well. And GWRE, Guideware Software. Okay, yeah, generally it's trending up, so that's good. Here's your highs. There's your first trend right there. There's your highs. Here's your next trend right here. So bullish till proven otherwise. Obviously, it's got like multiple bump and runs right here, so just make sure it holds these trends, right? So very, very important. But yes, very bullish as it works its way up, so that's good stuff. Yes, what's going on? Jimmy, what's happening? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Harvey, hello, hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. Yes, how's it going? Yeah, happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Awesome. I hope you had a great day and ate lots of good food. Paul, what's happening? Hey now. MTNVR, greetings, FedEx and Starbucks. You like the ones that end with X. FedEx. So FedEx is starting to look very interesting, right? So, overall macro trend is down, okay? You can see we've been working on a wave count on this for a little bit. Not surprised to see it down where it is. But it can move occasionally. It can really push, 6, 7 points when it wants to. So it's getting there. It's starting to get bullish. It didn't quite close over the prior day's levels, right? But it did close bullishly. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this as it works and works its way up, right? And we might be able to see it start to fill the gap. So let's see if we can close bullishly over this next couple days, right? And then we'll look maybe possibly for a swing entry on that one. It's looking pretty good. Starbucks. Okay. Starbucks has been in a massive uptrend. In fact, whoa. Let's take a look here and see what we got. Here to here. Okay, so macro trend is still up. Okay, so we have that to our advantage. We have our lows right here. We have this going on right here. So it started to work on this minor pivot breakout, right? So we just want to see more volume coming in, right, and a strong bullish close on it, and then we could look to finally take this thing back up again. So that's comforting to see that big trend line up. So good. Enjoy Life Apparel. What's happening? Hope you're doing great. Mike, what's up? Bubble, what a chop day. It sure was. Absolutely. Nike. Yep, we just looked at that. Actually, we looked at that using the 15 orb today. So it is bullish overall. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Okay. That was an old gap fill potential a long time ago. Okay. Yeah, so definitely bullish until proven otherwise. Okay, so we have this trend line it's working on. So we'll continue to monitor this to the upside. Very, very strong. It's definitely a leader in the industry. So that's good. Etsy. Okay, Etsy's getting a little complex in here. Let's take a look. So one of the things we saw on this, it gave a great run recently, right? So it gave this move up right here. We saw this minor pivot right here. We saw a nice bullish close above here with increasing volume and a nice little potential swing up, right? Then it kind of worked here once we got that in. Okay, it started to work its way to the downside for a little swing down. And now it's kind of just chopping in this range a little bit, right? So kind of key things are basically to close bullishly over this level, right? Basically I would like to see a bullish close over 62 with increased volume, and then maybe we could look for a possible swing up to the 70s. Okay, MNST. MNST has been really, really choppy down here. In fact, when it failed to break out, right? When it failed to break out here, it actually put in a little bit of a bear flag, right? Kind of worked its way down. Now it's kind of retesting those levels at this point. So, for the most part, just be careful with this one. Just it needs to start to get strong, right? And right now it's still below this downward trend line. So just be careful with that. Okay, and then Twitter. Okay, so Twitter's been tricky, right? Generally, it's been trending up. Okay, then it started working its way down after it got down out of that minor pivot. Now it is still trending down. It's working on this downtrend right now. So just be careful with that on Twitter. So good. Experience and thoughts. What's happening? Good evening. Gia, what's going on? Good evening. Shop. Yes. Well, if you had your calls on Shop, you had an excellent day today, because that was really, really nice stuff, right? Give a very bullish move today, up 15 points today. One of the most bullish moves today other than Tesla. So that was a big move right here. Just be careful as we are still, from basically where it started its move down, we are still below this macro trend line, okay? So that is just something to be, of concern. Okay, so it was a very, very sharp move down. So about a 5-wave move down, 1, 2, right? We can say 3, 4, 5, however you want to do the count. Right? So you had basically a zigzag down. This could be A, B, C, right? So that could be 5, 3, and we might be actually starting, getting close to another 5-wave down. We just have to see if this count is correct, right? So A, B, C possible. Okay. And the slope is less than this slope down, so just see how it handles this downward trend line. If it starts to get weak, right, we might see shop start to work its way to the downside. Okay. Zoom, ZM. Do you want this zoom or this zoom? Because this zoom is what everybody thought was the original zoom when it had its IPO, and it really blasted for like no reason, just because nobody knew what they had. But this zoom is a little bit rough right there. But the zoom, the new zoom, is still below its downward trend line right here. So we have this here. Okay, so it's still working on this. We're still watching it, but I like that the volume's starting to pick up a little bit, right? So I mean, granted, it's going to the downside, right? It's bearish until proven otherwise, but eventually we'll look and see if we can catch a breakout move. So good. And then PayPal, BBBY. PayPal. Gosh, this one is not ready yet. Let's take a look and see. Okay, so we are here. Okay, right at the downward trend line as well. So we'll continue to monitor that. Might not do anything until earnings. And then BBBY. So macro trend obviously down. Micro trend is starting to work its way back up. I guess they like that new CEO that they have. Big bearish downtrend, right? So you got this going on right here. So you got to watch that. Okay, but this kind of micro channel down, right? Here's your minor pivot, closed bullishly above that, and then it's continued to work up since then. So it's very, very bullish. Just watch as it comes into that downward trend line resistance. So my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Experience and thoughts. Cost beyond shop. Cost. Let's take a look. So cost down 8 cents today. That's about as hard as you could hit Costco, right? I mean, just look at the macro trend line. Right? Whoa. Oh, we already got it all here. Look at the macro trend line. Very bullish, right? So any opportunity for a reversal on this to the upside is great, right? So it's still working its way up, right? It had strong earnings, closed bullishly over those levels. We had a nice swing on this through here, but again, it continued to work its way up to the first target of 300. So now we'll see if how it holds this trend line and see if it can work its way to all-time highs. But definitely watch this trend line. I'm not saying trade it short, right? But just wait till you see it and then look for another long entry on a pullback. Okay? And then shop we just looked at. Again, very, very bullish day today, 15-point move, incredible stuff. Just be careful, it went right into this downward trend line. Okay? Just be careful with that. That's all. Dimitri, what's going on? Hello! Paul, Intel, short. INTC. Let's take a look. Oh, I don't even know how we trade Intel. I mean, look at this. Look at this thing. This thing was this thing does look at that. Look at how it likes to chop like this. And then it came up a little bit, chopped its way up, and now it's just chopping up here. I don't know. This thing is so hard to trade. I would just be really careful of it. It's still above this kind of mini downward trend line right here. And then you could look at maybe this a little bit, but it's just it's really tough to mess with right now. Earnings coming up soon too. Let's just be careful with that one. Very complex. Martin, what's happening? Amazon, Tesla. Let's take a look. One second. All right, so macro trend line here with Amazon is down. Okay? Lower trend line, still down. Okay? Micro trend line, still not doing anything, right? So really this trend line is kind of the key right here. So if it gets over this one, it still has this trend line to contend with, right? So overall the trend is down. Probably not messing with this thing until after earnings, once premium drops down. Okay? Wendy, good morning. Hope you're having a great day in Singapore. Happy day. MMM. Let's take a look. Yeah, big move on MMM. Okay, macro trend is down. It had a really rough earnings recently. Kind of came down off of that. This is what we've been watching. Okay, we had this downward trend line right here. It did close. Let's see, the high here was 150.99. The close here was 152.31. So it was possible to take an entry here based on our swing methodologies, right, and have a really, really nice move up. I do like to see on these increasing volume. We had a little bit of a decrease in volume. In general, the volume has been increasing, right? So this was a more of a speculative attempt, but it did work, right? And then definitely popped its way to the upside. So again, just be careful here, right? We have a basically a macro trend line right here. It did start to pop above it, but it has to close above here. And of course, we have larger macro trend lines down. So very, very risky, but it did move. It kind of hit it where its target would be, which is this next trend line down. So we have that. We've got cost. We just looked at costs. So again, same thing. Look for pullbacks, right? Look to buy pullbacks, right? And it might be a couple weeks, we see it. But in general, it's bullish, right? So as long as it holds this trend line, right, it's bullish till further than otherwise. But if it breaks down a little bit, we'll look for another reversal back up, right? Because it's just very, very strong. Buying the dip on Costco, in my opinion. PEP, bullish overall, right? I think I have a few trend lines on this thing. We'll give it a second here to start. Okay. I'll do a fresh one. Okay, so your macro trend is up, right? Your next trend is up. Okay. Then from here, let's go there. It's fine. Is up. So just continue to see how it holds this trend line, right? It's bullish till proven otherwise, but it is Pepsi, so it can do this for a long time. Okay? And then we'll look for setups. Good stuff. Sean, what's happening? TTD. Yeah, TTD is nice. I like this. It is holding it recently moved down to support. Okay, so recently moved down to support. You had support here, big move up, came right to those levels. So it's holding that a little bit. And then it got an upgrade the other day, okay, in a bearish type situation, right, because it came back below the trend line. But then they gave it an upgrade and it gapped up. Big volume, right? And I like the inside day, how it closed at the highs of Friday. So that looks like it's just ready to pop. So definitely keeping an eye on that one. 92, Shamir, what's happening? Great stuff. How do you install Go bars on the TOS? Well, if you're a member of our group, we give you the code to do it. So that is basically, that's the one thing. Now, folks have been sharing it, kind of publicly, which is cool, I guess. But yeah, if you're interested, we have it in the group. Okay, and we got all sorts of videos and stuff like that on it. So it's tough for me to get into it, publicly and all that stuff, because there's some rules around it, there's some nuances and all that stuff, and it's tough to be, hey, here's Go bars, right? Go bars, right? There's a whole training thing on it, right? So good stuff. Matthew, what's going on? Lulu. Yeah, Lulu is one where I just kind of regret not trading it. So I don't know if Session's here tonight, but this is, Lulu, when you look at Lulu, what's going on? Macro trend up, right? Right? Intermediate trend up. Okay, so what happened here? We pulled back to the intermediate trend line. We had a nice downward. This is what I'm talking about with Costco, guys. Right? Remember, so Costco's got, the macro intermediate trend lines up. It's buying pullbacks to it. This is what Lulu did. It gave us a perfect setup, and I passed on it because it's Lulu, and I've gotten caught in it before, and I shouldn't have passed on it because it's a perfect setup. Right, so it's closed above these minor pivot levels right here, very bullishly with increasing volume, right, and got nice follow through the upside. In fact, put in all-time highs. Okay, so at this point, it's out of play until the next pullback to the trend line. Okay, so we'll continue to keep an eye on it. I'm not looking to short it at any time, although it's possible to get a short. It's bullish until proven otherwise, but I think we'll eventually see another reversal off of these levels again. Okay, so we'll continue to keep an eye on Lulu as it does like to see how it holds this trend. Okay, good stuff. Juan, what's happening? INSEE, let's take a look. So INSEE, we've looked at it recently. All right, let's create a new drawing set on that. All right, so we have the high right here, low. Okay, so the macro trend line here is down. Why is it going through those levels? Because I don't go off of like the intersections in the future, I go on it where it was since the low, and this is your most recent one. So what's happened here is it's come back and it's tagged this trend line a few times, right, and kind of worked its way back down. So the thing I would do with INSEE at this point, it is, slowly working its way back up, right? But what I would do at this point is look for areas to short it, right? If it can't confirm high over the macro trend line. Okay, so now if it did close above these levels, I would start to get bullish on it. If it closed, let's say, over 88 bullishly with increasing volume, right? Now we are approaching earnings pretty soon, like most things, right? We're entering earnings season, but I do want to see how it handles this trend line. If it fails and it starts to break down here, we might see a big push to the downside. Okay. Nudie poo, Tesla, and I'm sorry, Martin. I know you asked about Tesla earlier too. I apologize, my friend. So yes, Nudie poo. Thank you for reminding me on Tesla. Sorry, I got a little carried away with Amazon there. Yeah, so let's get all this. So Tesla is interesting, right? So Tesla had a huge day today. Okay, so the macro trend line is still, okay, well, actually it wouldn't go from there. The macro trend line is here. Okay, so it's trending down. Okay, now it is trying to get above these levels. Okay, had a big move today. Okay, what happened today? You had a minor pivot right here. You tried to get through it once, couldn't do it. Tried to get through it twice with a higher high and a higher low, couldn't do it. Tried to do it again. Today was the day, and it cleared this level and the prior day's high and this level. Very strong for Tesla. Okay, is it safe to go long in this? It's hard to tell with Tesla. Okay, but generally it had a strong move today. You do have resistance up here, so it depends what your risk reward is, right? So today's range was 11 points. The next level, right, is 10 points. So it's about 1-to-1 risk reward, and to me that gets a little bit too tight. Okay, and then you have the macro trend line right here. So this is definitely watching right now. We'll see, what it does. The macro trend is down, so to me, I'd rather kind of see it get a little bit strong, maybe test these levels a couple times, and then possibly give us a short opportunity, kind of going forward. We do have earnings coming up too, so we'll see how it handles that. And sorry, experience and thoughts. I know you asked for Beyond and Shop. Gosh, I'm jumping all over. I'm like doing one and moving on, right? So sorry, Beyond. It's like I do one and done. Okay, so Beyond is getting there, right? It's obviously the macro trend right now is down. Okay, so it has that going for it. It's got this big gap below. It's got earnings coming up, so we'll see how that goes. But in general, it's bearish. The only reason I've been trading this is the premiums are just ridiculous. So, but yeah, it's very, very bearish right now. So we've got that going on Beyond. And then, sorry, experience and thoughts. You also asked about Shop, and we looked at Shop a couple times there. So but let's take another look at Shop here. Basically, big move today right into a downward trend line. Right, so it's really, really key to see how it handles those levels. Okay, and then Wendy, of course, yeah, Wendy, we got all your stuff, so that's good. We got Tesla Nudie Poo. You asked about Beyond. We just went over that. Okay, I think we're caught up with everybody. Gio, yeah, my pleasure. JK, what's going on? Adobe. Let's take a look. Oof, this is so tough to trade. I typically don't trade Adobe. Okay, it gets really crazy. I mean, look at this. That's tough to swing anything, especially with options. Up and down, up and down, up and down. In general, right, the trend is down. Okay, so it keeps on rejecting these trend lines. Okay, so just be careful here. That's all I have to say. This one will chop you up for a long time, so just be careful with that one. Twilio. Twilio is getting interesting. Okay, macro trend. Okay, macro trend. Okay, is up. It's in a very interesting area right here. Okay, it's back at the macro trend line. Okay, now we do have a downward trend line here, which is good. Okay, so we are at a critical juncture right here. Very critical. Okay, does it get back in the trend line and start to work its way up? Right? Or does it continue to work its way down? And if it closes below these minor pivot levels right here, we could see some fresh lows on this thing. Okay, possibly some gap fills below too. Very critical juncture. It's like right there at a very important area. So yeah, so be careful with that. Okta. Macro trend obviously is mostly up. Okay, but we are below a couple key levels. You can see why this broke down. Minor pivots right here. Once that broke down, you had a little bit of a swing short. Okay, after that, we're starting to work our way back up again, trying to see if this turns into a bull flag up. But this is very, very complex right now. Generally, it's kind of broken, right? I mean, that's kind of the idea right now. So it's we've had this macro trend line up, and it's broken below that. So trying to edge its way up here is really, really tough. It needs to get something strong, maybe super earnings or something like that, to get it back in trend. And then CMG, another Experience and Thoughts favorite. So yeah, so it's getting there. Hold on. This fib fan line has proven to be like the ultimate right here, right? So we did it from here to here actually, and it's been loving this thing. Every time it comes back to this fib fan line, right, it likes to bounce. Right, came back here, bounce, came back here, bounce, came back here, bounce, came back here, bounce. I mean, it's been so strong. So it looks like it's coming back here again. So we'll see if it bounces again. But it's been loving that fib fan line. So it's a little bit above it right now. Matthew, yeah, Oracle. Absolutely, it's definitely been on the radar. So Oracle's getting really interesting, right? It came out of nowhere on Friday and showed itself to be extremely strong. It finished with an inside day today. Okay, so it closed below this macro, recent macro minor pivot right here. Very, very strong on Friday with increased volume. Now we finished low today with an inside day, so you can see I already have an alert on this thing, just kind of watching this to see if it can continue its way up. So good. Martin, yeah, my pleasure. Juan, yeah, thank you. Martin, oh, Netflix. Yeah, earnings. Yeah, so I'm not going to trade it into earnings, but it's been interesting. Okay. Let's take a look and see what we can see. Okay. These are your levels, right? It's been, major downtrend since last earnings, since before last earnings. Okay. And then coming up to earnings right now. So we have inside day coming up, and maybe we'll have a double inside day before earnings, and then it's anybody's guess. Right now the market maker move on this is about 25 points. So if it goes up 25 points, we might see us over 300 again. If it does, we might get a little bit of a gap and go on it. If we move down 25 points, right, we might see ourselves kind of back to this level. Now, I don't think it's going to move only 25 points. I think Netflix is going to move. I personally think they're going to miss. They're going to have bad guidance and all that stuff. It's just been getting beaten up a lot, and I know it's been getting beat up a lot. But it's I think their business model is just really starting to wear down overall. But we'll see. Who knows? I mean, earnings can do anything. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if this thing eventually gets to 100. So, and why would I think that? Well, I mean, the previous level here was 230. Okay, so if it has bad earnings, we could really see it flush these levels. There's an open gap down here. Okay, so we have that. Now, if it can't hold that, it doesn't have much below it, right? So, I mean, if it loses 200, I think you're going to start seeing some people start to sell. And by the time they're done selling, it could be all the way back to some of these pivot levels, which is right back at 100. And I think there's an open gap here too. So keep that in mind with Netflix. It's had an epic run, but we'll see. Of course, not, right now it's kind of holding up by support. We have support here, and here we have an open gap down here. So just remember that. So be careful with this right here on Netflix. Okay, so we'll see that. Yeah, so we'll see how the earnings go. I'm very anxiously looking to see how those results are. Okay, Harvey, what's going on, COUP? Yeah, so COUP has been super strong, super duper, best in breed, right? Let's take a look. Look at that. Did you see that expanding triangle? Right, so that could be a wave 4, right? But if it were wave 4, well, maybe the wave 4 is done here, right? What was that? So that'd be A, B, C, D, E, or is it A, B, C, D, E? It seems like it would come down, test, close your wave 4 out, and then continue to work its way up. But hard to say at this point. So I'm just going to remove those for now. Let's just go with trend lines, see what we got. Okay, so it's been very bullish. Obviously here, the trend is up. Okay. Okay, and this is what happened recently. Okay, so we had this beautiful move down right here. This is very, very scalpy. But look at that jack-in-the-box type trade right here, right? So this was an inside bar, very bullishly, like TTD, how that closed here, right? And then just exploded off of that to the upside. Incredible move on COUP. So bullish till proven otherwise, my friend. Okay. Martin, the reason for asking was 40 either way too cheap. Right, exactly. Cy Jacobs, BBH. Bubble head. Ooh, biotech, gotcha. Okay, overall, we are seeing downtrend, right? It's working its way up to this line. What I would do is just kind of see how it holds here. This is my favorite, one of my favorite setups to do, right? Because it got this trend line up right here. So as it continues to work, once we find it, if it can't get through here, see it did it here, right? Broke down below here. That beautiful bar right here, nice momentum bar to the downside. Love that. Right, so when you get these things that come up to these trend lines and then you can see it start to break down, you've got trend on your side. You got gravity on your side on those. So those are the best. So Matthew, hey, thank you, appreciate it. Good. Well, good stuff tonight, guys. Today was day 2 on covering 15 orbs. I hope everybody's been armed with a lot of information as we get into earnings season tomorrow. I've already got a list kind of prepared because everything that's basically the big earnings guys tomorrow are going to be on the 15 orb list. So we'll continue to watch those and kind of see how they behave, and then hopefully we'll be able to apply some of these principles and make a little profit on what we know. So this week. So I'm really excited about earnings season. Glad to be here, and thank you everybody for tuning in and your support. So if you're new here, be sure to subscribe on YouTube because we do this every market night. We always cover some cool new techniques and ideas, and of course we do the chart request too. We kind of see how things are looking right there. So that's really good stuff. Be sure to check out the links in the description, and thank you everybody for your support. And remember, you're at risk first, and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you, everyone.